Hey everyone, let's jump right into today's explainer. We're tackling a deeply profound concept from traditional Dharma texts: how to dedicate boundlessly for sentient beings, or, as it's often framed in the core topic,จะอุทิศอย่างไรขอบเขตเพื่อเวนยยะอย่างไร. At its core, we're looking at the absolute ultimate form of giving. It's about how this practice completely transforms our daily lives and, according to these texts, literally alters our cosmic destiny. Let's get into it.
So, to really wrap our heads around this, we've got to dismantle some common misconceptions first. What does it actually mean to dedicate yourself boundlessly? I mean, for a lot of us, we probably picture someone giving away literally everything they own, leaving their family behind, and just retreating into total isolation, right? Well, according to the source material we're analyzing today, that's completely missing the mark. As you'll see, true boundless giving is highly practical, super intentional, and actually intimately connected to the people right around us.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by defining boundless dedication, then move into the Bodhisattva path, followed by repaying heaven's grace, and we'll wrap up with creating eternal value. All right, part 1, defining boundless dedication and what it truly means. The crucial takeaway here is that giving boundlessly requires you to use your wisdom. It's about making deliberate choices, not just blindly throwing everything away without a purpose. The text is super explicit about this. Boundless dedication does not mean you just abandon your worldly responsibilities. Think about it. If it meant that, the whole practice would be totally unsustainable. Instead, that boundless aspect, it really refers to a mindset, a heart without borders. It's teaching us to use our intellect and wisdom to make everyday decisions. You're still living in the real world, doing your thing, but your actions are guided by a vow to help others, rather than getting blinded by everyday worldly greed. Now, the source texts make a really sharp, vital distinction between what they call true dedication and false dedication. False dedication might look like sacrifice on the surface, maybe you're giving up your time or your hard-earned resources, but if you're doing it just to benefit a toxic group or trying to grab some personal fame or even manipulate people, the texts say that's entirely counterfeit. True dedication, on the other hand, is strictly anchored in benefiting the greater good and lifting up all sentient beings. No hidden selfish agendas allowed. Take a look at the authentic Thai source material here. It firmly roots our translation, emphasizing that true dedication has to align with a higher vow, definitely not worldly gain. It spells out that cultivators have to possess a genuine spirit of sacrifice. And it's not just some abstract pie-in-the-sky idea. It requires actual, roll-up-your-sleeves physical effort and a real-world action to uphold virtues. You're effectively putting the public benefit way above any personal gain. Moving right along to part 2, the Bodhisattva path and saving sentient beings. So, unlike past eras, which were really all about isolated self-cultivation, our current White Sun era demands that we actively help others achieve enlightenment. The teachings actually divide spiritual history into distinct eras. In the past, these were known as the green and red eras. The texts explain that the heavens hadn't yet opened the path to wide-scale salvation. Because of that, spiritual practitioners basically had to focus inward. They'd head up to the mountains to meditate alone, following what's known as the Arhat path. But, as this timeline shows, everything has shifted. We're now in what the text calls the White Sun era, and the entire spiritual paradigm has flipped. Because of this shift, boundless dedication is literally no longer optional. It's the core cosmological requirement of the era we're living in right now. According to the text, heaven has brought grace down to earth specifically to save humanity from impending calamities caused by a widespread loss of morality. Because of this, you just can't achieve ultimate enlightenment by cultivating virtue in isolation anymore. You absolutely must walk the Bodhisattva path. And just as a refresher, a Bodhisattva is someone who purposefully delays their own ultimate bliss to help others cross the sea of suffering. So, having a boundless dedication to others is the singular way to align with today's spiritual climate. Let's transition into part 3, repaying heaven's grace, where action becomes gratitude. This specific chapter introduces a really powerful symbiotic relationship when it comes to our spiritual duties. It poses a pretty massive question. If heaven has bestowed this incredible grace to save humanity during such a chaotic time, how on earth can a human being possibly repay a debt of that magnitude? I mean, it seems impossible, right? Well, the answer lies in a dual concept. Think of it like two sides of the same coin. You absolutely cannot separate repaying heaven's grace from fulfilling your vow to save others. They are literally one and the same action. The source material states that repaying heaven's grace and fulfilling vows are intimately intertwined. You can't just look up at the sky, say thank you, and call it a day. The only real way to show gratitude for being saved from suffering yourself is to turn right around and actively pull others out of their suffering too. It's that simple. If you aren't helping others, you aren't fulfilling your vow, and therefore you definitely aren't repaying the grace you've been given. This profound quote from holy teacher Zhigang perfectly anchors this high-level concept into a clear, everyday directive for all of us. The best way to repay heaven's grace is to aid the world and save sentient beings. The ultimate gratitude is action. By aiding the world and actively working to save others, a practitioner actually becomes the physical extension of heaven's grace on earth. You literally become the hands and feet of the divine. How amazing is that? And that brings us to our final section, Part 4, Creating Eternal Value and Leaving a Lasting Legacy. The source text here reminds us of a pretty stark reality. Human life is incredibly fleeting. Usually we get less than 100 years. The text asks a deeply philosophical question regarding the point of life before birth and after death. It points out that our physical bodies, the things we spend so much time feeding, clothing, and stressing over, are actually false and temporary. I mean, we all know our birthdays, but not a single one of us knows our death day. Life is entirely impermanent. So the ultimate dichotomy here is this: sacrificing a short, temporary existence to forge an everlasting spiritual legacy. The text argues that the only true, permanent thing we actually possess is our spiritual essence, our true self. By engaging in boundless dedication, by shifting our focus away from our own fleeting temporary desires and toward the eternal well-being of all sentient beings, we essentially hack the system of life. We take something short and ordinary and transform it into something immortal. We're using a temporary physical body to build permanent spiritual merit. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought to reflect deeply on your own life's ultimate purpose and your potential for boundlessness. How will you transform a short, ordinary life into an eternal one? These teachings really challenge us to look way beyond our immediate selfish concerns. They're asking us to widen our hearts to encompass the entire world, realizing that in saving others, we ultimately save ourselves. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Until next time, keep exploring and keep learning.